Here.
Honorable Councilmember Helen Zenobia Willis. Honorable Councilmember Naima Gilliard. Here. Honorable Councilmember Corey A. Reeves. Honorable Councilmember Khalid. Honorable Councilmember Mark Baker. Mr. Mayor, you do have a quorum.
Is Mr. Reeves? Hold it. Who was he trying to call in with?
He's trying to call in, but he hasn't. We just got the message that he's trying to call in.
Okay. All right. Call the first presentation, Madam Clerk.
First presentation is Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metro Atlanta.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for providing this opportunity. Mayor Bill Edwards, thank you for the partnership. Hope you're feeling better. I know you were a little bit under the weather. Councilwoman Rowell, thank you for your partnership. Just wanted to talk a little bit about what we plan on doing with you guys here in South Fulton County to really match more kids on our waiting list. Many of you have heard of Big Brothers Big Sisters. We're been here around 60 years. We serve all 12 counties here in the Metro Atlanta area. We have about 190 kids on a waiting list here in South Fulton. And we're looking forward to launching a partnership to match those young people with mentors. That looks like individuals stepping up to become big brothers. I know you've been a big sister yourself. I'm a big brother to a young man named Anthony. He's 8 years old. His father was killed in a motorcycle accident when he was very young. Never knew his father much, and I've stepped in to really just provide guidance and be a guide to him. So we're looking for the same thing here. We are outreaching to get the word out to see if you all can, through your different constituents, spread the word of the need. I have a list of zip codes here that we're primarily focused in on that I'll go down to here on the list so you can see the different zip codes where majority of our students on our waiting list are waiting. And again, that number is 190 students. Our goal for this partnership is to match 60 students over the next year. Some of our results speaks for itself. 98% of our kids are going to the next grade level. Over 99% avoid the criminal justice system. 98% graduate high school on time. And this is really through the power of mentorship. So what we love to do is just replicate these results here with the students that we've been talking about. Here's a list of some of the background of some of the parents and students that we work with. 71% come from single parent homes, 85% are low income, 84% qualify for free and reduced lunch. So we're really hitting a need and working with young kids and families that need help the most. Our students range from the age of 8 to 18. We support middle schools, elementary and high schools. We match kids starting at the age of 8 all the way through 14. At the age of 14, we stop matching so that the match can last throughout high school. The process is pretty straightforward. We did an informational session here yesterday. I think we had about 30, 40 people attend that. That's the first step where you come and learn about the program, learn about the parameters, and then the next step is to actually submit an application to get started in the program. We do background checks. We look at your situation, what your time is like, your availability. We look at your preferences, and then we match based on all those different things. We provide training to anyone who's interested in becoming a big brother or a big sister, where you are trained on child safety, what it's like to be a mentor, different things that may come up in a mentoring relationship. And then we actually, once you're matched, provide you with a coach who's on my staff, who will work with you through the life of the match to make sure you're successful. If issues come up, that's someone that you can reach out to. So that's very unique about our program, is that we provide you a coach to make sure the match is successful. On average, our matches last about 3 years. We ask for a 1-year commitment minimum. We know if you come in a young person's life and leave within a year, you can actually do more damage. So we want a minimum 1-year commitment, and we ask for a minimum of 8 hours per month to spend with that young person. So again, the purpose of me being here today is to really spread the word, get more folks involved in the program. We have 190 kids on a waiting list here, and our goal for this partnership is to match 60, hopefully more.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but I'm 100% with the program.
No, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions for big brothers and big sisters? First of all, is everybody in the queue? Okay. Any questions? Well, it's not on my board. Corey, it's back there, but it's not on my board. Okay, okay, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation.
No, thank you for the opportunity.
Just a few quick questions. How do you get your pipeline of kids?
So primarily parents come in to put their students in the program. We work with schools, guidance counselors, it's word of mouth, so a number of different ways. But in most cases, there's a single mother coming in with a boy. Most of our kids on the waiting list are boys looking for additional help.
So our partnership with our major schools in the South Fulton area is pretty strong.
So we're not currently working in any schools. Right now, we're working primarily in the community. But schools reach out to us directly, but we're not actually working with inside the school.
Okay.
If you get what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Have you ever thought about working with our municipal court, maybe?
Yes, we just launched a partnership with Fulton County Juvenile Court. They have kids coming in as young as 10, 11, and 12, and they're looking for alternatives to probation. So we just launched a pilot with them. So we're open to all those type of partnerships, schools, if there's connections you have to principals, I'd love to go talk to them. We're looking at eventually setting up a satellite office south of the city to make our work more accessible. So this is the beginning for us, and we're very appreciative of the partnership.
Well, I'm having a senior moment. I had another question, but I'll let Ms. Rowell, Dr. Rowell, and then.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm very excited about the information session that was held. I think it's a great start, and we're looking forward to more community residents engaging and coming out to our larger session.
Yes.
Where they can learn about the program. I know one of the things, as he mentioned, our goal is to get at least 60, even though they have a backlog of 190 kids. I would love to get all 190 of the kids matched. And so I'm hoping that all of the council members will partner on this effort to make sure we spread it throughout the city, the need to recruit mentors to at least address the backlog. So, oh yeah, I can defer to you.
Okay, I remember my question now. So advertising.
Yes.
So how do you all go about advertising? Is everything just word of mouth, or?
No, so we do a lot of different marketing, and some of the things you all have put out have been a big help. I saw the press release that went out yesterday. So we do a lot on social and digital. We do a lot of targeted marketing based on zip codes and making sure we get the word out. But what works the most is coming and doing these in-person sessions. So the session we had yesterday, I'd love to do more of those. It's not as simple as just buying a pair of sneakers. The people have questions and they want to learn more, and we get a lot of results by having these type of sessions in front of people. We come in to companies, we'll go in to any type of meeting, give us 10, 15 minutes to talk about it. That's where we have most of our success.
Okay. And lastly, I guess you could come around to a lot of our town hall meetings and things
Yes.
of that nature to also help. Okay. All right. Thanks.
I see no further people in the queue. Go ahead.
Aging out. How many of these 190 kids right now are kind of like at that, I guess, stage of about to age?
They're all within our match ages, from 8 to 14.
8 to 14.
8 to 14 is when we
Okay.
match.
Okay.
But we keep kids in the program through 18. We're actually in the process of reevaluating that and thinking about how long. Some of our sites go up to 24. So
Okay.
we're going through that process right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Baker.
I just want to say it's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
am a board member of Brothers United.
Yep.
And we currently meet at your facility
Yes.
once a month. And the work that you do, I know that you didn't have an opportunity to share your personal story,
Yeah.
but it's infectious, and I'm glad to see you here knowing that this is something that we could assist in, and you have all of my support.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is council discussion of 2020 legislative report by A.R. Long and Company.
Come right on.
Thank you. Everyone should have a copy of the information. I see it. Got it. Thanks, Andrew. So the A.R. Long Company has been working at the legislature this year with the General Assembly, and you will see some of the issues that have been outlined. I don't know if, did everyone get a copy of the?
Yes.
Okay, in your packet. And so some of the highlights for this session, you'll see our budget for the budget, the public safety, healthcare, schools, and gambling and sports betting. I'm going to let Andrew take over. I was just sharing the highlights. Thank you.
My apologies, Council. I have another team member who is en route, and this is her first time coming to the new location. Mr. Mayor, City Council, my name is Andrew Long with A.R. Long Company. I want to say, first of all, I am grateful to represent you down at the state capitol, and I have learned a great deal in representing this city and in establishing a great relationship with members of the General Assembly on your behalf. I'm here today to present the January 2020 legislative report and how things down at the Capitol are affecting the city of South Fulton and our best way moving forward so that we can take advantage of bills and legislations that are passed at the state. I believe Lolita went over the first part. Literally, everything right now at the General Assembly is the budget. I could skip pretty much everything else as far as session priorities. At the present moment, the House and the Senate are quarreling over the budget, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Speaker David Ralston, has decided to shut down the entire General Assembly. So they are in complete recess and on pause until the General Assembly, until February 18th. That's when they'll come back in. And right now they're quarreling. They're fighting over the budget and where the money is going to go. Most of it is because the governor has asked every state agency for a 4% cut in their budget for fiscal year 20 and a 6% budget cut in fiscal year 21. And some of the cuts that some of these state agencies are making are affecting some of their local constituents back home, and even members of the General Assembly that are in the majority don't want to go back home to their districts and tell their constituents that, well, now little Johnny is not going to be able to get this service or that service because these services are cut. So they want to prepare the budget in the best way possible. They have shut down the General Assembly until February 18th, and they will convene again at that time. So the priority right now at the Capitol is the budget. I plan on staying within my time, but in the interim, if there are any questions that come up, please interrupt me and let me know. Thank you. There is legislation that the City of South Fulton delegation has agreed to carry on behalf of the City of South Fulton. That legislation is highlighted in the January report that I have sent you. Number one is Fulton Industrial Boulevard, HB 121. That bill currently is on the table in the Senate. It was tabled by Senator Dunzella James last session and is available to be taken off the table and considered for full vote by the Senate at any time during this session. The pause and the wait right now is Representative Roger Bruce is going to get with Senator Dunzella James and talk about their strategy in moving this bill forward, but it's still on the table at the moment. The City of South Fulton name change on the November 2020 ballot, that is going to be authored by Chair of the Delegation, Representative Deborah Bazemore. EMS licensing, which I felt was important. When the delegation got together, they decided that they were not going to take any action on this particular item at this time. They didn't elaborate. I don't know if they're going to plan to wait until next session, but at the moment, they have decided not to take any decision on EMS licensing. Number 4, funding for parks and recreation. Representative Metz and Representative Bazemore are going to co-author this legislation. And finally, the solid waste transfer stations would be Representative Derek Jackson will be carrying that bill on behalf of the City of South Fulton. After that is just a quick observation of what AR Loan Company is doing on behalf of the City of South Fulton. In the interest of time, I'm going to review upcoming local legislation starting on page 3. I just mentioned Fulton Industrial Boulevard, but the HB 121. But next, after that, is SB 309, the Georgia Municipal and Local Government Infrastructure Finance Authority Act. A lot of what I'm reporting to you on paper is what is happening, but I also want to give you a political background on it as well. This bill is authored by Jesse Stone, who is a Republican and chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and is more than likely going to pass. That's just what it is. That's the game that we play down at the Capitol. I honestly feel that this bill would have a minor effect on the City of South Fulton, but it is something that we are monitoring and keeping our eyes on. HB 779, the tax allocation bill that was authored by Shaw Blackman over in the House. I gave you a quick synopsis on that. This is very important, and this has kind of grown legs pretty swiftly, and it will somewhat alter how you're able to collect taxes on the ad valorem tax on the motor vehicles within your city. So we will certainly, it's in the House now. It still has to pass the full House of Representatives and come over to the Senate for consideration. But this bill is high on your priority list, something that we are taking a close look at. Next would be HB 757, determination of qualifying periods for special elections. That doesn't change the current law very much from what it is right now. And again, based on how this will affect the City of South Fulton, Rep. Deborah Bazemore is going to be carrying the bill for the name change. But apart from that, on the November 2020 ballot, this won't make many changes, based on what you all are trying to do as a city right now. HB 342, permit requirement booting for motor vehicles. The permit shall be $250 once obtained. The operator will also be required to maintain a telephone number that is staffed by a live individual 24 hours a day. In the city of Atlanta, this has gone to another level. If you don't know and have not been downtown deep in the city recently, folks who are booting cars now have begun to place 2 boots on a car every time that there's a violation. The reason for that is if you put 1 boot on the car, an individual might take the attitude of, listen, I could go to my trunk and get my spare and put my spare on. That'll cost me less to buy another spare than it would be for me to pay you $110, and I just ride out on a spare and figure out another tire later. So they've started putting on 2 boots. So even if you do have a spare in the back to try to take that whole tire off and put on your spare, you still can't take off 2 tires. The city of Atlanta is trying to reel this in a little bit, and this will be language that will govern all the cities in the state of Georgia. SB 292 permits cities to determine whether wood can be used for construction. I read this bill. I'm not sure on how much of a grave impact this will have on the city of South Fulton. Still something that we are going to monitor. HB 760 on page 5, emergency transport by peace officers for emergency examination. I believe this bill would be a benefit to the city and all cities really in the state of Georgia. HB 523, short-term rental property. This bill has become very controversial very fast. And the reason is local municipalities don't want Airbnb and other companies to be able to do what they want to do within a given municipality. I believe that most cities and counties are in favor of having short-term rentals, however, with regulations, and the short-term rental companies, which they're more than Airbnb, but primarily Airbnb, they don't want the regulation. They are going from state to state trying to pass bills that would make Airbnb and their short-term rental situation one governed language across the entire state, so that whether you live in Savannah or Chickamauga or wherever, it'll be the same rules will apply to everyone. GMA is not in favor of this legislation. ACCG is not in favor of this legislation. I am completely aware that the city of South Fulton is not in favor of this legislation. And we are working, and I am working, we all are, in concert with those entities to try and slow down, defeat, dismantle this bill, whatever it is we have to do. And I'm sure questions will follow. Last but not least, we got two more. HB 867, annexations of county-operated airport property. When I saw this language, it appears to be obviously political posturing, but motivated specifically by someone in Fulton County who has proposed language in the state of Georgia to not allow any local municipality to annex land that is currently owned by the county for the purpose of airport use. It seems a little tricky or shady only because last year in communication with partners regarding HB 121, it was agreed upon by all that the Fulton County Airport would be carved out of any annexation as a part of the Fulton Industrial Boulevard HB 121, that the airport would be carved out and would remain in unincorporated Fulton County. So I don't know what they're trying to fix, and I don't know the purpose of this language, but when this caught my eye, I added it to our report and presented it for your review. And I'm obviously monitoring it closely, and I will gladly take any questions. And last but not least, LC, it doesn't have a bill number yet because it has not been introduced, but Senator Donzella James called me to her office last week and said, Andrew, I personally have language that would amend the charter of the city of South Fulton. I would like for you to submit this to the city of South Fulton and give me direction on whether I should introduce this bill or whether I should throw this in the trash, was specifically what she said. So I submitted this in your report for your review. With my final 3 minutes, I want to also say that we will have leadership meetings coming up at the Capitol, governor, lieutenant governor, and it's simply, like I said before, to establish a credible presence at the Capitol on behalf of the city of South Fulton. There are several legislators in the House and Senate that may be in rural areas of the state that don't even know that there is a newly formed city of South Fulton. So the more presence we have down at the Capitol, especially in the most positive manner, the better. And briefly, I know I should have done this at the beginning, but I want to introduce my team who is here with me. Ms. Lolita Browning Jackson has not missed a city council meeting for the city of South Fulton since last January, and her role is primarily for every ordinance and every bill and legislation that you pass as a city, she reports that back to the senior staff of the city of South Fulton so that the departments are made aware of what action they need to take based on the laws that you all create. And she is at every meeting making sure that she has all that information and it's a timely flow to the leadership staff of the city. And secondly, Anna Edmondson, who is in her 3rd year of law school, and I am fully aware that she is on borrowed time. I'm grateful that she is working with us. If I haven't mentioned before, she actually was an aide to the senator who was the SLOGO chairman, the state and local government chairman, as the charter of the city of South Fulton was being created. So she has a wealth of knowledge on this city. She's in her 3rd year at Georgia State Law School, and she monitors monitors and researches several of the bills and legislation down at the Capitol, specifically on behalf of the city of South Fulton. So I'm grateful for your time, Mayor and Council, and again, I'm grateful to be able to represent you down at the state Capitol. I will entertain any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Long, and congratulations to you and your staff for an outstanding job you usually do at the state Capitol. At this time, Councilmember Gumbs, followed by Mr. Rowell, and then Willis.
Hello, how are you today?
Good evening, ma'am. I'm doing well, thank you.
So you know, of course, the short-term rental is like my thing.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the likelihood of that actually passing? Because I keep hearing that it will probably pass.
That is a good question. The best answer that I can give you at this time is because there is a substitute, that probably implies that it's going to be more substitutes. They are going to continue to amend the language until both sides are at least palatable. I don't think that either of the sides, whether you're on the GMA and ACC, the county side, the city side, I don't think that they're going to get everything that they want, and I obviously don't believe that Airbnb is going to get everything that they want, but I believe that there's going to be, not a happy median, but something in the middle of language that's going to continue to be amended, and once both sides can say, even though that's not everything I want, we can live with this for right now, we'll come back next session and continue, you know, whatever. I believe something to this end is going to pass. Maybe not the current language that you see now, but something to this end.
And this session, you believe? Or?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, let me also say this. GMA and ACCG working together, those are big guns, and they have a lot of influence down at the Capitol. If they take their concern, whether it's Speaker, Lieutenant Governor, or Governor, and saying, yeah, we can't live with this, do something, there is the possibility of the governor vetoing whatever gets passed. And I think all the parties involved are aware that Airbnb and others are simply going from state to state to state to try to pick up what state they can. And once they put in language, then it governs every city and every municipality. You don't have a choice because it's under state law. So they're trying that, and people who know that in advance are trying to stop that from happening. So it's still a fight, but in my heart, I see something passing. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Also, too, the food and motor vehicles, I know that I've been working on some legislation in regards to that. This $250 permit is just for the owner that owns a booting company, that they will have to get this permit. I'm trying to understand it just a little bit better in regards to.
I think that's correct, yes, that it is the person who owns the company, the permission obtained, operator making 24 hours a day, yeah.
And they have to have a live person
On that number, right. You can't just have a number on the side of your car or a number listed in the parking lot. It has to be a number where if someone calls, a live person will pick up. Yes, ma'am.
And the likelihood of this one passing is pretty strong.
Matt Dollar is a Republican from Marietta. He's in leadership. I mean, everybody down there has enemies, but I think that he's a pretty liked individual. You're going to have some people. You're going to have some people opposing it, but I don't see a very difficult time of Matt Dollar getting this passed. If someone came to him and says, "I don't like this $250," he says, "Fine, 2 1/4." Well, that's still not 175. Okay, we can do 175. Put it in there. I'm okay with that. He'll put it in the language and keep going. Well, maybe we can't hire a live person 24 hours. Can you get a live person 5 days a week? We'll get a live person Monday through Friday. Fine, put that in the bill. Something is going to pass. Yes, I believe this bill will pass.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Councilmember Rowell.
Thank you. I have a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Specifically, House Bill 757, I noticed that the qualification period drops down from a week to 2.5 days, which seems so arbitrary. Do you have any background information on that? And then as it relates to Senate Bill 292, the City of South Fulton passed legislation looking for steel construction on buildings over 3 stories.
Okay.
And so it'll be interesting to kind of watch this and see what happens with that. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Over.
And then lastly, this legislation that's proposed by Senator Donzella James, one of the things I do think is problematic about our charter, I think there should be independence in this whole process. And so while her bill only deals with removing the mayor, it doesn't address mayor and city council, really I think it probably should be removed and we should follow the process for removal of office that the state follows. In other words, our charter has that extra provisions. A number of cities don't do that. We should just follow state law for removal of office, and it takes us out of the process, and you have independent people looking at any issues. So I'm going to tell you just in general, I don't support this as it is. I think it's problematic to have it in our charter at all.
Yes, ma'am. I will make sure that that is noted. And again, when I asked her about the language that she handed to me in her office, I said, "Senator, what is my direction?" She said, "Andrew, submit it to the city and see if they want me to introduce this bill or not." And I said, "I can do that." So I will make sure that she is aware that you are not in favor of this legislation. She had one more.
Well, you know, that's just my opinion. I don't know what other people feel.
Well, I agree. I agree. That wasn't the motion, but
But it might be good.
I agree. I agree with you, and I think that we established that with your ordinance
Yeah,
last time we had this conversation.
but to make it official.
It mirrors the state law, and I think we should
To
stick
remove
with it.
elected officials,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, Ms. Wilson.
I will make her aware, thank you. And I will,
But should we take action? I think we should take it so it represents the body and not just opinion of one or two
I
people.
have no problem with that if you want to make a motion. You can't vote.
Well, we could do it in the,
and I'll monitor those other pieces of legislation that you mentioned, ma'am.
are you finished? Yes,
Wait a
I am.
minute, Mr. Manager wants to say something.
Don't take official action, you could, direct the lobbyist who is kind of reporting you directly that you have you put on the record that you are not in favor of this legislation and you have consensus to take back for her not to move forward. I don't think you have to take official action. You can just state that on the record that there's a consensus of those present and provide them some guidance and direction without a formal action.
I think that's where we were going.
Yeah, just,
You
I think
do-
it should
you
be
do
removed
understand that,
completely.
right?
I do understand completely, yes. I will let Senator Donzella James know that she is not to introduce the bill.
Right,
We are not in favor of this language or legislation.
okay.
I will let her know.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes, thank you for your presentation.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
concur with my colleagues. Technically, we already have provision that removes council members from the process. We just need to follow our ordinance that was passed.
Okay.
So we really, the only thing that does need to be cleared up is the veto as it relates to the mayor, since there's some ambiguity in that area. Legislators are saying the intent is there, and technically the last time we never overruled the mayor's veto, so technically his veto sustains, but if we need to make the language clearer in the charter, I think that needs to happen. But as far as the removal of council members and the mayor, I mean, we already have something on the book that removes us from the process. But, so I don't agree with her making that particular change.
Yes, ma'am.
I need you to, if possible, I have a text message that I received from House Representative Bodie, who's my representative, and we have been working on the heat and hydration legislation. He
Yes.
actually came to Walker Mall Park, and I didn't see that notated anywhere on the list, but it's House Bill 832. It's House Bill 830. It was a study committee last year, so the actual legislation that derived from the study committee is House Bill 832. And I think the House Bill 832 is going to mandate on a statewide level that at minimum all sport facilities have some type of hydration component, such as an ice tub, when you have situations where students go into a injury that is from a heat related injury. And so I don't know all the particular of the bills, but he said that Casey was supposed to set a committee hearing on February 18th.
Who was opposed to it?
Casey. That's the same guy from Dalton. House Representative Casey
Rep.
Carpenter.
Casey. Carpenter, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's the one. He's the chair of that committee.
And he is opposed to having a hearing?
No, he said it was supposed to be set February 18th.
He is having a hearing, okay.
Yeah, he's
okay.
supposed to set the hearing.
Carpenter, okay.
So I need you to follow up with that legislation and let me know when they have the committee hearing, so
Okay.
that I can make sure that I come in and speak.
First, I do apologize. I remember that language, and I believe I sponsored, I helped sponsor that lunch that y'all had when Representative Bodie came. I forgot to add this to the report, and that's my error. So I'll get the language of HB 832.
Yes.
And if there is a committee meeting coming up, I'll give you date, time, and room, so you will be able to come in.
And it should be sponsored by Casey Carpenter.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I'll get it for you. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Councilwoman Rowell, your secretary.
Just one more. One of the things we've all talked about is supporting the schools, even though it's under our, not under our purview. But the dual enrollment program.
Yes.
Is proposed for cuts, and we have a number of students in Fulton County schools in our city taking advantage of that program, which basically allows them to earn college credit while they're in high school. And I would love for us to make sure we're kind of following that bill and supporting it. I know it's a number of students at Westlake High School who are availing themselves of that program, and we certainly would not want to lose that funding.
Yes, ma'am.
And I hear cuts are proposed as high as 50%, so I'm just generally concerned, and I think we should all be.
We, the city of South Fulton, probably needs to prepare for that program to be cut.
Yes.
That has been discussed and argued. It's SB 444, and I can add that to our report for February, for the next report. SB 444 is, in my opinion, I'm speaking candidly, is a way for legislators to find money in the budget that they can cut. The argument on our side is that a lot of our students, once they hit a certain, I think it's 30 credit hours, I believe, once they hit 30 credit hours, they're still eligible to take more, but anything beyond that, they have to pay for it themselves, where before, the dual enrollment program paid for all of it. You could do, I think, up to 2 years of dual enrollment. So we don't want that cut. Because there are only going to be certain students that will be able to do that, and not all, and that's not right. But on the other side, their argument is, you've seen what's happened to the lottery and how those funds are being depleted. Their argument is, I'm not saying I agree with them or that they're even right, but their argument is, if we don't do something about the dual enrollment program now, put additional regulations on it or, parameters on it, we'll run out of funding for that as well. It's the fastest growing program in the state of Georgia, and everyone wants to be a part of it. So if we don't rein in spending on that now, we won't have the funds to do it almost at all. And we have to cut the whole program. So according to them, if they put some rules, some caps on there, it'll still be a program that our children will be able to take advantage of, but it'll only go to a certain amount of hours that they can take. Anything after that, they'll have to pay their own way. And sadly, that bill is probably going to pass. I mean, in the Senate, it was, a partisan vote. All the Democrats voted in opposition of it, and all the Republicans voted in favor of it. And if this is a bill or a program that they have chosen to say, this is where we can find, even if it's $500,000, this is where we can find some money for some cuts in the budget, that's what they're going to do. Yeah. So, but I will continue to follow it. Yeah. It still has to go to the House.
And particularly with all the conversation around gaming and what's going to happen with that, which would flow more money in the state. Not doing that on the backs of our children, when this is an opportunity also to keep the pipeline for students in Georgia to stay in Georgia, going to Georgia colleges. So it has multiple benefits, and I'm not going to be here to argue it, but I just think,
I agree with you. Yes, ma'am.
Not to be short-sighted on that for the bigger picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Willis, I cut you off. It's not your second time. This is your first.
Okay. Well, and this is the last thing. I agree. It's unfortunate that it's more than likely going to pass. I mean, we can write letters. I would encourage us to encourage our constituents to write letters to all of the House representatives, but more than likely it's going to pass.
That's correct.
I am very concerned about, and I would ask that you follow this. There was a protest today on the cut of public defender funds, and I just want to know, how is that going to impact our municipality when you have individuals who are indigent and can't, afford attorneys. So I think it can have an impact on a municipal level for those who do provide public defenders. I mean, more than likely that may pass too, and I know they protested that today, but can you let me know at what about committee hearings so that I can share that information in my newsletters and encourage residents to write emails or even come and speak in support of not cutting those funds.
No, I don't remember. Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I will. That is an important piece of legislation. And I think they are treating that also like a program that they can cut and find money, since the governor wants to cut so much. But I will keep my eye on that and report to you any committee meetings that are forthcoming.
And I know the NAACP is also involved with that legislation as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Long.
Mr. Mayor,
God
Council,
bless.
thank you all very much.
Mayor,
Yes.
can I, for the record, Councilmember Reeves called in at 5:12 p.m. and he's on the phone.
Thank you.
All right.
That ends the work session agenda for tonight.
Mayor, I would like to ask that we go into executive session for real estate, personnel, and litigation.
And cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity.
Oh, we can add that.
You may.
Huh?
She said you may.
So typically, your ability to go into executive state, there's a lot of things that you can go into, executive state. Executive session, There's a lot of things you can go into executive session for. The three general things that you almost always go are personnel, real estate, and litigation. So we just don't enumerate everything that you can go into for, but this is one of the allowable
Okay.
actions that you can discuss in private. And
Okay.
that's
And-
security.
Well, I'll make my, I'll restate my
Please.
real estate, personnel, litigation, and cybersecurity.
Properly moved to second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? We're in executive session.